Let us see. Here we are, my friends. Welcome to the Saturday morning live stream here at the Garden Like a Viking headquarters in northern Indiana, zone 5B, 6A. But who even knows what kind of zone you're in anymore because everything is changing like that. Hey, do we already got... Let me see here. We already got a Lisa T, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. A tip before we even open up the case. Thank you very much. I appreciate the contribution to the channel and the cause. So, guys, let me know who you are, where you're from, where you're viewing from, and what the weather's like, how your season's going. Let us all know. You know, because people go through and read these comments after the fact. So if you want to communicate with people from other parts of the world and stuff and see what they're seeing, you can put it in the comments and stuff like that. It's just wonderful. I mean, this whole thing really is like Star Wars type technology. I mean, the fact that I'm live right now, we're all here in the ether, but you're like in South Africa or Australia or, you know, all different kind of places people are from, you know, and yet we're all here together utilizing this alien-like technology is really mind-blowing. So, yeah, here we are. And we are, once again, in a drought. I mean, definitely. And I'm not going by Farmer's Almanac or like figures from the weatherman. I'm going by what I am sensing in terms of the plants. 3 years ago, there was a wonderful growing year. And here in northern Indiana, it typically used to rain enough that you didn't really have to irrigate your crops. And that's one of the beauties of it. And 3 years ago, we had a beautiful growing season. Everything was lush and nice and growing thick because at least once a week it rained. There was a nice, good rain at least once a week. And you could count on that, you know, sometimes twice a week. And that's enough, especially if you're doing heavy mulch. But then last year, there was 8 solid weeks without a single drop of rain, and it was blazing hot. For here, it's blazing hot because it's humid. We get southern type of heat, you know, hot and humid. And so, yeah, it was the things just anything that didn't have a super heavy layer of mulch on it was bone dry. The land around here, like concrete. I mean, the typical soil here, depleted farmland and all of that kind of stuff, you know, has, in the middle of summer, especially if it's some weeks without drought, if you take a shovel and you try to go, it'll tink, tink. It sounds like just rock, and it will like bust implements. I mean, it's solid clay. So, guys, what we have to do to combat that is we have to use the mulch system. So plants do not like hot roots. All right, and Kim Williams says this is the 4th year of drought here in Tunisia. Okay, and so yeah, so it's guys. While I'm thinking of it, if you're not already familiar with his channel, John Jandai. Okay, he's a Thai fella, and he really has a lot of good things to say. Okay, a lot of wisdom comes from him. He's true. I mean, he's Thai, like villager. You know, he was born in the villages and sort of raised with that lifestyle. And I spent a lot of time in Thailand, so it's very near and dear to my heart. But he is he has a lot of wisdom. So check out his channel. Jon, it's his first name, and then Jendai is the second name. And if you do say something like Garden Like a Viking sent me to your channel, because I want to try and get on the radar. So maybe him and I can do a collaboration. That would be really good because he's got a lot of wisdom. So I just wanted to say that. And he speaks about the droughts that are happening and stuff and what he feels. So, guys, we have to heavy mulch, okay? If you mulch heavily enough, this is an absolute must. If you mulch heavy enough, you kind of pretty much don't have to water. I know, even though it's been several weeks without any rain here, and it's been 90 degrees, full sun, no clouds, dry wind, you know, for several weeks. Still, if you go out there to the heavily mulched areas, it is still totally wet. Not just moist, but wet underneath. I mean, good wet. So it is, the heavy mulch, there's nothing that can compare to it, okay? And if you don't have the mulch, get some kind of fabric, or the plastic even is a good mulch. And that's why it's used extensively on certified organic farming operations, because it retains the moisture. It keeps whatever you have to do to keep the surface from wicking away the moisture that's in the ground. Because there's tons of moisture in the ground already. especially if you live like in the Midwest somewhere. Lots of moisture already in the ground, but through capillary action, like a wick, how a wick pulls up and transfers the lighter fluid or whatever it is, the soil acts in the same way. So if you've got your soil exposed, then it's just wicking away all the ground moisture, the ground watering. Jerry, what's up, my friend? I'm watering. Okay. So yeah, if you've just mulched, or if you just have bare earth, that's the worst possible way to leave the soil. Just till it up and then plant your row crops and leave bare earth in between. Not only is that a nightmare for weeds, but that is also says he's using big words again. Capillary action, is that what you're talking about? Come on, that's a new one for you then. But if you just leave it like that, then it's going to be wicking away the moisture that is in the soil, and we need every drop we can get. So if you limit that evaporation from the surface, then you will be able to keep that soil moisture that is in there, and you rarely have to water the plants. And it keeps the root zone cool. Guys, number one problem in raised bed and container gardenings is a hot root zone. Plants do not like hot root zones. There's only a couple of them that do. But for the most part, they can take extremely hot air temperatures if the root zone is kept cool and moist. So remember that, my friends. So, okay, I'm going to go back up here a little bit and see who's here. I'm going to skim through them and stuff. Man, you guys are active today. I like it. Okay, so Bushcraft, what's up, my friend? And let's see here. It's zone, okay. Ehab says it's zone 8 here too in Lebanon. You're in Lebanon. All right. The country of Lebanon. Let's see here. Mystical Love and Light says, OMG, I actually got notified 7 minutes before you coming on. This is the first time. All right, good. I'm not sure what it does for the notification things. I think I'm going to start scheduling them like on Thursday or something so that it has that preview so that you guys can set a reminder or something. Because, man, I watched like Pinball Preparedness the other day. I watched one of his lives and he has 1,400 people watching all at once. Now I'm thinking, well, I just can't even understand. How is that? What is going on here? What do we have to do to get a bigger group? But it doesn't, you guys are the great ones. You guys are the inner circle, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just thinking, how do you get 1,400 people all at once? That's incredible. So, Wouter van Bosch says, greetings, Garden Like a Viking from the Netherlands. Mulching really does help. I use bark chips. They are good and white, so they reflect the sunlight. Okay, yes, wood is a wonderful thing. Big West says, biochar is working amazingly in my cannabis planters. I haven't watered since I transplanted into planters. They are in compost and biochar. I know you're not into it, but aside from lawns, it's my test. Nice. Not into what? Yes, I'm not into the cannabis anymore, but that is where I originally found my passion in Northern California, of course. Imane Glasgow says, what do you use for mulch? The ideal mulch is going to be either grass clippings or deciduous leaves. Deciduous leaves really is the finest mulch, in my opinion, because it mats down so well, and that the things are not going to be able to grow through that. All right, the leaves, they mat down, they interlock really well, and they are very high in fungal food. And so the forest floor is always covered in leaves, and leaves are the #1 favorite food of the earthworms. So if you want to attract more worms to your area, hello Marcel, my friend. If you want to attract more worms to your area, put down a layer of deciduous leaves. They will absolutely love that because they love to eat that. It keeps the soil cool. Also, the next best would be grass clippings. Like if you have a bagger, like on your lawnmower. I know, mowing lawns, I know. You shouldn't even have much lawn left because you're growing food in most of it. But some of the people do have a lot of lawn that they have to mow. And so get yourself a bagger. And that is going to be an infinite supply of some of the finest mulch you can get, my friends, because you will be able to not only get the finest exercise that the human being can get, which is long distance walking. That's what we're designed to do. But because of the rhythmic nature of it, what it does for the lymph system, what it does for all the health and well-being, the chemicals in the mind, long distance walking is #1. form of fitness for the human being. So not only does it do that, but it's going to give you nice shredded, nitrogen-rich, microbial-rich mulch to put down. And you put that down. Don't put it too thick though at first, because you don't want it to mat down and become like where it becomes anaerobic and it starts smelling like ammonia. You don't want that in the mulch, okay? And so you will just put it down the grass clippings, not too thick at first. You can always put more later. But yeah, if you see any weeds coming up, you don't cut them. You don't cut the grass, okay? You just take the weed, or you take the grass that's coming up through the mulch, and you just bend it over and you put the mulch on top. Remember this, my friends. You want to the grass and all that stuff. Like if you want to lay down a layer of mulch, you don't cut the grass, because the grass will then be able to push up through all the mulch, or the weeds or whatever will be able to push up through the mulch. But if you bend them over, let them get kind of long, bend them over, put the mulch on top, then they can't regrow. That's way better. Yes. So let's see here. Natalie Dumont says, question, grass clippings, do you put them freshly cut? Yes, you can put them freshly cut, not a problem. See, I didn't have time to make my tea, so, well, I did make it, but this is how you see? I got the mint in there and some lemon balm, pour the boiling water on it, and then strain it out right into the cup. And that's how I like it. So I already put some honey into the cup, and yeah, it's delicious this way. Can you see? That's how I do it, just like that. Yes. Fresh mint and lemon balm is wonderful. Mint is one of the herbs that doesn't retain its flavor very well when it's dried. So if you guys have tried to dry mint and then get the flavor reenacted in the middle of winter, it just doesn't really work. I mean, it works okay, but mint is designed, here's my opinion on this. Mint is designed, okay, to signify to you summer is here. Early summer, late spring, early summer, but mint is the signifier of summer. And so fresh mint, yes. So consume it by the boatload while it's available. It's rich in chlorophyll. The tea is nice and dark green. That's all chlorophyll. That's captured sunlight, solar energy that's pumping into the body. So it energizes your mind, your body, everything. It's not just a hot liquid, It's a gift of the earth, especially with the life force that is in it. So yes, mint and the lemon balm, as much fresh tea as you want, a whole huge handful of it. The more you pick, the more it bushes out. So a big old handful of it, boiling water, let it steep a little while, and then consume with some honey. Yes. Let's see here. Okay, Brian says, in Wichita, Kansas, a drought, but the temps are ideal, so things are rocking and rolling. All right. You are in a drought also there. Man, I've been hearing that all over the place. Yeah, I've been hearing it all over the place. There is a gardener, you guys might know Hugh Richards, I'm sure many of you do. He just released a video telling you what I've been telling you for a long time, and that crop rotation is absolutely not necessary. It is not necessary. Nature never crop rotates. What's way more important than crop rotation, my friends, is diversity. This is the most important thing. Diversity of plants and intercropping. So planting a bunch of different things all over the place. That's way more important than crop rotation. So, yeah. But where was I going with that? I was talking about Hugh, and oh yeah, he says, and he's there in England or Wales, I think, and he's kind of sweating and stuff. He's like, oh, it's so hot today. It's a blazing hot here. And it's like 70 degrees Fahrenheit, for Wales or England. So it's like blazing hot. And he said, but even there, it's been bone dry. So that is not very common for the UK. Ooh, voltage nut, RSD 1000. What kind of rupees, or what is that? Rupees? What currency are we on here? Thank you very much. Whatever it is, thank you. Voltage Nut says, hello Nate, thank you for all the knowledge you are sharing with us. I was wondering, what is the variety of your pothos plant? This original pothos, boy, It's just the regular pothos. It's not the golden pothos. It's not the variegated pothos. It's not the, okay, Serbian dinar. All right. Serbia, huh? Very cool. Let's see here. Let us see here. So the pothos is not, I don't know the exact kind, but it's not the golden pothos. So it's just like regular pothos. But you know, the vining plants are very different. There's pothos, there's philodendron. So the pothos is going to be, you know, like this one. And this one is already putting down real nice roots. I made a short like a month ago or something, showing you how to make propagate these, and the roots have already gotten nice and big. I could have planted this weeks ago, but I like to do it like this because the pothos will sit like this for years. I mean, if you wanted it to, but it's best to plant it into soil. But it will survive like this in just water for quite some time. I mean, a year if you want. So it won't grow much until it gets into soil, but it will survive and put down more roots in the water. So you can just have these all over the place like a little jar of living green goodness. So that is what's up with that. Let's see. There was another Angela Leeds, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate the tip. She says, OMG, flea beetles destroying my eggplant. Nate, your slug solution is amazing. Will it work on flea beetles? Help. Yes, I know. The flea beetles are a bane of the existence. They can be. Because the slug solution does not work on them. Because the slug solution works on soft-bodied creatures. And so the flea beetle is got like an armored shell all around it. And that is what protects it from this solution. So unfortunately, I have yet to find something that is really effective at the flea beetles. So what I have to do instead is to get the plant really thriving with health. And that is how, so that it just grows so fast that it like overcomes. And then leave the leaves. What kind of plant are you talking about? But leave the leaves of the older plants, or the older leaves on the plant, and let the flea beetles eat those. And then typically, if you supercharge the plant with some good fish, you know, the fish hydrolysate or the Jadam fish fertilizer, or the, you know, any number of the things, or the compost extract, or the JLFs, if you supercharge the plant with that, it will be growing so fast and so vigorous that it will outgrow the effects of the flea beetles. That's kind of what I've done. Even though you see on my channel all kinds of stuff about the Jadam and the natural pesticides and all that, I actually don't really use any of those unless it's serious, because I pretty much just let it, you know, some holes in the leaves and stuff is fine with me, you know, and some pest pressure is okay. You know, it can, if something's getting really hammered, like I can just pull it out and put something else in there. You know, I'm constantly pulling stuff out, putting stuff in. There's never like, okay, the garden's planted and now I just wait for 3 months until harvest. I'm constantly putting stuff in, got stuff ready to sprout, which we're going to get into because Freebird, her question, she emailed me. So we're going to talk about things that we're going to want to start to be starting. We're going to want to start to be starting, you know, for the fall. And so I've got things coming in and out all the time. Let's see here. There was one question. I saw this one question about the, let's see. There is the, okay. Man, you guys are having some good conversation today. Okay. Are frogs good for making fertilizer like fish? I have not made frog fertilizer, but if you have enough of them, probably. The proteins in the fish are just super easily digestible. The amino acids, the type of, so it really is easy for the microorganisms to digest. And in particular, fungi love that type of amino acid. There's something about the fish, and why I promote using it a lot is because of how it feeds the fungal relationships. Yes. And I know I've told you guys this before, but there's a lot of new people here. And when I was living in Northern California and growing there and everything, and really getting deep into the fundamentals, and just deep, way deeper than fundamentals of growing and of the land and the cycle and nutrients, I was learning so much there day and night. That's all I was doing. And for several years. And then one of the, what was the tribe? I think it's Yurok Indian tribes. It was in that area. And one of the guys that I kind of made friends with, he was telling me that because we were right in a redwood grove. I mean, massive 1,000-year-old, 2,000-year-old trees, huge, enormous redwood trees, old growth trees. And we were there, and there was some of those, a lot of new growth ones as well, still massive. But he was telling me that in his culture, the Yurok, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It might have been the Hoopa. But anyways, he was telling me that they have a story why the trees get so big there is because of the salmon runs, is because that the salmon, I don't know if you know this, but they go out into the ocean, you know, they're born, they hatch, they make their way into the ocean, they feed, they get really huge, and then they come back up to the exact place where they were born, and then they spawn again. And then after they spawn, they die. And so you'll see thousands and thousands of massive dead salmon in the creeks and in the streams around there. And he says that they knew even then that it was the like the life, the fungal relationships in the soil and in the tree roots that would carry those nutrients miles inland and feed the trees. And we know this by modern science that this is actually true as well, that the mycorrhizal fungi, along with other types of fungi, create thousands of miles of highways for nutrients to come. That is how the redwoods used to communicate. And so that if there was a grove 100 miles away that the soil was becoming deficient in nitrogen, it could send out the call, and from like 100 miles away or less or whatever, then the redwoods would send the nutrients that this grove needed. Now this, of course, is on a redwood timescale, so it would take hundreds of years. It doesn't happen like that. But still, they would move the nutrients through the earth. This is a truly mind-blowing level of intelligence, you know, that we can observe. And perfection, it's just incredible. And so, man, when I was learning these things, that spirit would get up in me, and I would be there with the trees and just feeling the earth. It's so old there, and you can feel that network. It's amazing. Yeah. So let's see. There was somebody I wanted to get to somebody commented on the electroculture thing, which tons of people have commented on it, which is super cool. I'm glad that you do. But Not Authorized says, your electroculture is probably the worst I've seen. Why? You gather your info from a YouTube. My work is based on the world record holder of growing the largest plant back in 2009 and copyright patents from 1900. Okay, good for you, my friend. Good for you. But the electroculture thing is kind of like blowing up right now. So I use the scientific mind as much as I can, and I'm trying the experiments. Now, I will say, this brings me to a good point, actually. Thank you very much for bringing up the point about... So I've watched several videos over the past few weeks about electroculture. And when you see these videos, they are showing you all these massive cabbages, these massive carrots, and this big old huge this and that and stuff. And I want to tell you guys that is a scam. They are scamming you, because the only thing that matters, that's not electroculture, that is genetics. And look, you can have, for the Sapporo Giant, okay? Here is a cabbage that if you just have regular soil, this will grow to be this big. Massive cabbage. And yet in the videos, they're trying to say, look, electroculture did this, yet there's absolutely no correlation. There's no proof of correlation. I'm not saying there is no correlation. I'm saying there's no proof of correlation. I'm saying that there doesn't have to be. I know that all you need to do is get a genetically bred thing to be this size, okay? So I want to show you guys just a couple of more. Here is, I mean, they're all over the place. So look, here is a massive giant beetroot. Look at this young person holding this beetroot. It's enormous. And so if you put that up on the screen, with a insinuating that electroculture is the cause of that, people will say, wow, look at that. Along with that big old cabbage, you know, say, wow, look at that. You know, huge. But no, that has nothing to do with electroculture. That has only to do with genetics, okay? And this is true for every kind of plant. Look at this. Look at these carrots. Look at these massive, humongous carrots. This has nothing to do with electroculture. It has everything to do with genetics and soil fertility. The life in the soil and the genetics of the plant is what creates this, okay? And yeah, I'm not sponsored by Baker Creeks in any way. I love their products, and the catalog is so nice over the wintertime to look at it. But do you guys get the point that because you see a bunch of big cabbages and all this big stuff, that does not mean in any way that it is caused by electroculture, okay? Large carrots, tiny children, yeah. Well, also, here's the grown men, you know, they're growing these carrots, okay? So they're 3-4 feet, and if we put that up, electroculture, you know, people don't know the difference because they just see, whoa, that's huge. Okay, but it's true for all different kind of stuff. Look at this kale, okay? Look at this. This is the 1,000 head, I think. Yeah, 1,000 head kale. Look how enormous that kale is. And anyone can grow that in thriving soil. That has nothing to do with electroculture. So I'm just saying, guys, don't be fooled, okay? You can grow massive plants if you want the genetics, but that doesn't mean that, one, it's nutrient dense. That also doesn't mean that it tastes good. So these are like competition grade things. So there's a whole section of gardening that is all about competition size. Who can grow the biggest one? And so you get these genetics and you see who can grow the biggest one. And that's cool. That's its own separate thing. But that doesn't mean I don't grow any of those kind of things because there's no need. Because I don't care how big it is. I only care how nutrient dense it is and how flavorful it is. And so those varieties typically are not that flavorful because they're bred for size. So you guys get it? Ooh, Big West says, my whole game changed from watching Nate. I feel a little protective, not sorry. Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. You're very active with the channel. Kim Williams says, follow the science. Hey, maybe that pertains here. Let us see here. Okay, I'm so glad you told me about them. Let's see. Hey, I will give a shout. Okay, No Way says, hey, I will give a shout out to Baker Creek. Yes. Yeah, guys, and if you ever talk to Baker Creek or email them, you know, put the bug in their ear. Say, hey, we think you should get Garden Like a Viking down at the next heirloom seed conference to maybe give a talk or something like that. I would gladly do that. I'm fully confident that I can do that. So that would be great. You know, that would be great. Just putting that out there. Let's see. T-Mac says, I have a side-by-side green bean electroculture, and the ones with copper are getting bigger. Okay, wonderful. We are going to see over this year. Now, I know, though, because of all my experience with growing and the type of growing I've done and stuff, and I know that there are many, many factors involved as well. I'm just saying, scientifically, if you are believing that it's going to work, then subconsciously it can be true that you will sort of give it a little more love in the form of a little more water or maybe a little more nutrients, or you want to weed it a little bit more, or things that are going to make it grow bigger. I'm just saying this is possible, but we'll see, because I'm doing multiple experiments back here. I'm also going to do them out of my uncle's house because we got more of this copper wire, and so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But I tell you what, though, copper wire is not cheap, okay? So on any kind of scale, it would be kind of cost prohibitive, all right? So just that being said. Let's see here. And T-Mac, yeah, if you have a lot of static and storms in the area, it works better. Okay. Chadwick says, exactly, subconsciously. Yes, that can happen with so many things, you know, and they're giving it more attention and they're giving it more energy and all of that, and say, look, see, it works. And then, you know, I'm also not convinced, because, guys, I traveled the world for like 10 years, as many of you know, and I spent a lot of time in like India, Thailand, Cambodia, you know, Southeast Asia and Nepal and all of these areas where it's really common to be hustled, because I am clearly not a local in Asia, anywhere in Asia. And so they look at me and they think, dollars, and they think let me see if I can hustle them. And so over the years, I mean, at first, when I was traveling, I used to get hustled all the time, man. And because I was so green, I was so just young boy, 20 something. And I was in there just, didn't know the ways of the world. So I was getting hustled. But then those tough lessons that hurt, that you feel to your core, those lessons you have to learn, you don't forget. I don't forget. And so over the years, I learned very well, like how to sniff out the BS and how to feel when I was trying to be hustled, and I got real good at that. So that by the end of my traveling, the last few years of that, my last motorcycle expedition through India, I wasn't hustled, period. Not at all. And there was something about it they didn't even try because of the way I carried myself, and I could just see it all the way I look. Just so many factors. But I wasn't hustled at all. And so I'm saying that to say I can feel very well when I'm trying to be deceived or hustled or manipulated in some way. And I feel a lot of that with the electroculture thing. So I'm just putting that out there. People showing, hey, you're side by side. The guy that the guy that sells these, that winds them up and he sells them and stuff for like $5 a piece. He wants to show you videos of pots that have two. Okay, here's the ones with the antenna. Here's the ones without. I said, okay, maybe that's true, but also maybe you forgot to fertilize this side, or maybe you forgot to water this side so that you could sell more of your things. I'm just saying, it can happen. So that's why we gotta question it all, because there is so many people that are trying to manipulate your opinion in order to draw a paycheck. Not saying that they are, but that they could be. Salma Kiev. 550 Canadian, is that right? Thank you very much, my friend. Says Nate, a groundhog ate the tops off my chamomile and I can't shoot it because it's technically the king's groundhog. The king's groundhog. That's interesting. Is it a monarchy in Canada? I thought, oh yeah, I don't know. You only ever hear about like Trudeau, So the king's groundhog, okay, military base. Advice. Groundhogs can be a nightmare. So if you don't have a dog that is going to deter it, if you don't have if you don't have the option to boom boom, then you're kind of stuck. You can try to get rid of it, try to make it inhospitable. You can pour concrete into its hole, and that will kind of thwart it for a while until it will make another hole. Or if it's in there when you do it, it'll find another way out. But you can use smoke bombs to try and get them out. You can use, Mom Computer says use a silencer. Oh, absolutely. Use a crossbow, very silent. You can trap it. Actually, the best thing would be to get one of the large raccoon-size cage traps and to trap it. That's what you should do. Yeah, but then you've got a live, angry groundhog, so you need to then deal with that in some way. So you can take it off base and deal with it, fix the glitch in whatever way you need to do that. So that's what I would do. Is probably that Tushi. Oh, absolutely, it was off the charts. Yeah, she says, was your hustle meter pinging during? Yeah, it definitely was. Yeah, off the charts. But yes, so the groundhog, I would trap it and then deal with it, and that's what I would do. Because it's going to continue to eat whatever you put in there. All right. I mean, it's going to continue to eat stuff. But if your chamomile should grow back, chamomiles are very, very hardy. So we'll see. Let us see here. Mad Max says, Nate, we love your world experiences. All right, my friend. I'm so happy you can benefit from them. Jerry, live, I meant. Okay, what's up, my friend? I'm glad to see you here. Hey, Jerry, yeah, I wanted to tell you as well that, okay, until you can get the pumps happening, until you can get the ability to fertilize with the pump and all of that happening, then you can use the backpack sprayer. I don't know why I didn't really think of it. We can foliar feed the plants that are already in the ground, because you don't have the Jerry doesn't have the capability yet to water in the fertilizers. So what we need to do, I will send you a Jerry, I will send you a link to the backpack sprayer I'm talking about, and you can make the compost extract. I mean, like tonight. I mean, you can do it immediately. You can use that compost that is back there, take it with a paint strainer or a t-shirt. A t-shirt would be even finer, actually. An old t-shirt, and put a bunch of it in there, 5-gallon bucket of water, and then, you know, really get it out there good. Let it sit in there for about an hour, you know, flush, make sure that you're agitating it real well, massage it so that all the extract of the compost and the microorganisms and the nutrients goes into the water, all right? And then immediately you can take that water and put it into the backpack sprayer. You could dilute it 1 to 5 if you needed to. And then in the evening time only, when there's no direct sun, take the sprayer and foliar the plants, and they will love that. That's the best way. If you can't water the roots with the stuff yet, because you don't have the setup, then foliar it, and they will love that. And that will foliar feeding is like mainlining to the plants, because they can absorb things through their leaves. You just have to make sure it's not in the sunlight and that it's made right. So if you make it like that, you can do it immediately, and it's going to be very effective. So wanted to tell you that. And so Ben Hudson says, question, my wild scrub turkeys have left me a 4-foot leaf mound. Can I inoculate with the compost tea as it could use more maturing? Also, fungal or bacteria, and explain the different action, please. Okay, fungal or bacteria. So what do you mean? You want to know, well, I think I know what you mean. Okay, so if you have a 4-foot pile of leaf mold or leaves, then you can just let that decompose with the activity of the fungi, because leaves are very, very high in carbon. The carbon to nitrogen ratio is high in leaves. And so you can think of it this way. The fungi digest the carbon. The bacteria digest the nitrogen. They use the nitrogen to digest the material. So that's why if you have green grass clippings that are fresh, if you just mowed the grass and you rake them all into a big pile, within a couple hours, it will be so hot in the center of that pile you can't even put your hand. And it'll be turning black, and within like a day or 2 days, it'll just reek of ammonia, and the whole thing will like flatten down and it will decrease in size. That's because there's so much nitrogen in it, the fresh grass clippings, that the bacteria are just exploding, and they're devouring all that stuff, because nitrogen is the gasoline that fuels the engine of the bacterial decomposition. And so the more nitrogen, the faster it gets decomposed. You can think of it this way. But if you let those same grass clippings dry out, see, the thing about nitrogen is it's very volatile, okay? Meaning that it will evaporate very quickly. And so what you, just me. Yes, my friend, $50. Thank you very much for the support, my friend. I appreciate that. Please send me more pictures of that watermelon patch. Definitely want to see that. Thank you, my friend. Okay, so the, what was I going to say? What was I talking about? The nitrogen. And so if you take those same grass clippings and you allow the nitrogen to evaporate, because nitrogen is very volatile, it evaporates easily, and you let them turn brown and then you put them in the pile, it will take a long time for it to decompose, because the nitrogen is evaporated. But the fungi and stuff will go in there and begin to break it down. It just takes a lot longer. So that's why if your compost piles go cold, if you're doing hot composting, you add more green material. That's why you layer that when you're doing a proper compost. And I haven't made videos on proper compost like that, but when you're doing like fast compost, like the Berkeley method or something, the 18-day compost, then you want to have that ratio, because you don't want just all nitrogen, just all the nitrogen materials, the green materials, because you will waste so much of the nitrogen. So you need the carbon in order to capture, the nitrogen and fix it all. It works together like that. So let's see, what was the original question? Yeah, it's lost now in here, but yes. Okay. So the, Forgot what the original question was. I can't find it now. So I hope that answers it. Yes. And no, with the leaf mold, yes. With the 4-foot pile of leaves, you can either mix it with a green, like grass clippings, and really, really speed things up, or you can just let it turn into leaf mold. It will be like next year, but you can add a JDOM microbial solution, because using the good quality leaf mold, because that will be high in a fungal sort of thing. And so you can add that to it. But you want to keep it covered, and just and don't flip it. If it's just a pile of leaves, you don't turn it, because that disrupts the fungal hyphae, the little threads of fungi that we want to digest the carbon. But if you want to use it as a compost, then mix it with the grass clippings. About 2 parts of the leaves to 1 part of the the fresh grass clippings. That would work. Yeah, that will work. Or a different source, like a chicken manure, with that. And then mix it together, and then you would turn it. You would turn it, every 5 days, give or take, something like that. So there's multiple different ways you can go about it. It just depends how much work you want to put into it. So let's see here. And Tammy Harder says, can you please recommend a good mulch to buy? Mulch. But I am not familiar with any kind of commercially prepared mulches. So if you want it for a really good way to do it is, hello, MK's Logic. So a really good way to do it is to go to your municipal like biosolid place, and they often, if you have like a place where everyone can go in the city to drop off their sticks and leaves and all that kind of stuff, then typically they will shred all that stuff and make it available to you again in the form of mulch. And that's hardwood mulch. That's free typically. You just have to load it yourself. That's really good because it will break down, and it's got the sticks and leaves and all kinds of stuff in there with it. Also really good is the arborist chips. If you can make a call to some arborist people, a tree trimming service, and to get those kind of chips, freshly chipped, have them dump a pile for you, those are really good because they put the whole limb and everything through the wood chipper. Whop, whop. Man, I used to run a wood chipper too, and oh my goodness, those things are terrifying. To just big old, even like this thick, you just put in there, whop, it just pulls it out of your hand. Whop, done. It's and this one was really old. There was no safety mechanisms on it or anything. It was just like, man, you better stay clear of that, because if we had to take off, if you had a watch or anything like that, you didn't want it to get caught. It would just pull you right into the wood chipper. But anyways, yeah. Otherwise, if you have to get it from a landscaping company, go for natural hardwood mulch. You can ask them for that, and that would be the best if you're planning on because that's the most decorative. Shredded hardwood mulch, natural shredded, not dyed or anything like that. That would be the most decorative while still performing the functions that we want. So yes, that's what I would do. Guys, if you have not already, then take a moment to please click the thumbs up button. I would appreciate that. If you're just listening to it, stop whatever you're doing, click the thumbs up button. We would appreciate that. Ben Hudson, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. He says, thanks. Great info. Yes, you are welcome. Clem Fandango, what's up, my friend? He says, landscaper, tree trim guys are always dying to find a spot to dump wood chips. Most companies offer them for free. Yes, because, and that's exactly right. So it's pretty easy to find it because they otherwise have to drive their gas-guzzling tank all the way back to whatever the drop-off point is. So if you can make some calls and say, hey, if you're in this area, then go ahead and drop them at my place. They'll be more than happy to do that because they'll say, yeah, we'll save $40 in gas from driving back to the home base, So that's a good thing. Mystical Love and Light says, Nate, question. Which of your solutions kills spiders? Lots of all kinds of spiders. Yeah, we do not kill spiders. I'm sorry. Yeah, unless they are inside the house. That's the agreement. Spiders, you are more than welcome anywhere outside. We need you. You're very, very functional to the ecosystem. You're important to rid us of pests, of all kinds of things. A predator of detrimental things. But inside the house, no, gotta go. But typically I'll try and carry them out. But if that's not the case, then well, whatever. But you can't come inside. Other than that, there is no spray. There is no anything to kill the spiders. And I'm sorry for that, but because there is no need. There's no need to kill the spiders. I know they're like creepy and stuff to some people, but they perform a very vital function within the system. So we pretty much want to let them be. I know that's not the answer you were looking for, but let's see here. MK's Logic says, best way to grow moringa from seed. I'm in the Mediterranean. Oh, nice. What area of the Mediterranean? I lived in Greece for some time on the Ionian Sea. Moringa I have never grown, so I cannot say for sure. Guys, help out MK. If you've grown moringa from seed, what is the best way for him to do this? Okay. Big West says, some problems we all face is the seed that comes hidden in the mulch, germinating. This is the main obstacle. Next is herbicides. Availability is next issue. Yes, yes, yes. The seed can be an issue, no doubt. Taylor says, do you need to compost tea? What do you mean? Do you need compost tea? Yes. Compost tea is one of the greatest things that you can add to the soil, to the life in the soil. You can use the JDAM microbial solution. That is a compost tea, essentially. It's more like a fungal leaf mold tea. But I'm going to be showing you before long how to make the aerated compost teas. And those can be really good, especially if you're in the city or anywhere where you can't have the putrid stench of the JDAM inputs. You know, that's the only thing. When I was in the mountains and stuff, nobody cared what the smell was like. I mean, it's totally different. We were way off grid, 220 acres, we had chickens, cows, all this stuff, and anything to grow the plants better. And it was just part of it. But here, like people, and I'm seeing through the channel and stuff, people are really not into the smells of some of the JDAM inputs, which I get it. So there's other things, But the point of all of it, there's so many different techniques, KNF, JDAM, and just other stuff that doesn't even have a label that we've just picked up over the years. But there's so many different things. But the main thing is that you feed the life in the soil with natural means. Okay, we're never utilizing anything like Miracle Grow or any of the other poisonous stuff that is out there. That's number one. And let's see. Jeremy Ransom says, my best liquid fert is made with what's cleaned out of the chicken coop. Yes, definitely. I'm going to be making a video on that soon because I just cleaned out the chicken coop of my friend and got some fresh chicken manure. And so we made a good tea, a good fertilizer out of the chicken manure. Really good, actually. Barbara says, I got some moringa seeds from my neighbor. I just planted them in my fertile soil. Now I have 5 trees. Well, that sounds simple enough. Charles says, yeah, I'm getting a mask. Yeah, I know. It can be like that. It can be like that. Let's see. Tammy says, sweet, I definitely want to learn to make the tea. Definitely, yes. It's going to be a wonderful brew, and it smells like fresh earth and bread. It's just so wonderful. Yeah. So, okay, so there was let's see, I already talked about that. There was a question about, Freebird had a question about what are the things that are going to be needed to planting, to start for planting in the fall. And I know I didn't want to say the F word, fall, but we do need to plan for it, even though it's just the beginning of summer. It's actually not even technically summer yet. But we need to plan ahead. So, and she's absolutely right. So what we're going to do is here pretty soon. So you always want to have some things on deck. So the garden plot, especially, it's different if you got a massive area, but if you've got like a garden where you're limited somewhat on space, that is some of the most valuable real estate that you own in terms of food production. And so you need to always have something that is on the come up, in there. So you need to always be having stuff that's on deck. So have some things like yodfa. Do you know what that is? It's a like a Asian broccoli, and it's delicious. It's like a combination sort of broccoli, asparagus with a sweetness of like peas a little bit. It's really good, but it's super heat tolerant, yod fa. And so you can start those up, and you can have a number of those just on deck, so that if one of your cabbages is not thriving, just pull it. I mean, if you've given it enough time, just get it out of there, put in a couple yod fa plants, and you'll have those growing up in no time. If you want to have things ready for when you harvest the stuff. So the first things we're going to be harvesting are going to be the how do you spell that? YODFAH, something like that. And the first things we're going to be harvesting are going to be the garlic and the onions. And the garlic and the onions are ready about the same time. The garlic's going to be ready in about 3 to 4 weeks. So it will be about the end of June, first kind of week of July and stuff. So will the onions will pretty much be ready that time, unless you have a specific different variety. But in my experience, they're ready, middle of July. And no later than that. And so you need to be thinking about that, and you want to have things prepared to go in the ground of that. So, okay, your onion plot or your garlic plot, what are you going to put in there? As soon as something comes out of the garden, you got to be putting something else in. And it's best to have something that's already got a head start. Sowing from seed, okay, you got to be good at that. I mean, you got to have the good conditions and stuff like that. But it's best to have it started up, okay? So you want to... Oh, really? DLR says, okay, thank you. I'll be looking for those seeds. Another heat-tolerant Asian green is tatsoi. I didn't know tatsoi was also heat-tolerant. That's really good. The yod fa will thrive in the heat, but it's actually not frost-tolerant, so you got to remember that. But... so here's what you would want to do. So you have you have the garlic plot, and where the garlic is, that's going to be coming out, in the July timeframe. And so when that, like the 1st of July, so when you pull the garlic out, you want to dry it. Like, watch my video. I'll probably make another video on it. You want to dry it, get it drying, but then you want to immediately put in there green beans, bush green beans. That's the way to do it. Because you can just rotate bush green beans and garlic, because you're going to harvest the garlic, you're going to plant the seeds of the bush green beans, all right? And the seeds of the bush green beans are going to sprout really fast in like 5 days, okay? Those you direct sow. And so that is going to grow up, and you're going to get green beans from it in like 50 days, 60 days. You got plenty of time after garlic to still plant bush green beans. But also then, when the bush green beans are done, you're going to cut them at ground level, leaving the roots in there always. And they are going to really supercharge the soil with the nitrogen-fixing rhizobial bacteria. And so that's going to help to really make things just grow really well after beans and peas have grown there. They just grow really well. And so we know that's from the nitrogen fixation, but it's also from all kinds of other things. They're just really generous to the land. Beans and peas and legumes are really generous to the soil. And so you can grow up those green beans, and then you will cut them at ground level. And then when the time is right, which it'll be empty for a few weeks or a couple months, maybe even, then you will plant the garlic into that so that it will be supercharged from the green beans. And like that, you can have a plot that you just rotate garlic and green beans. That's the way to do it. Yes. And so let's see here. Okay, so you guys, let's see here. My Garlic Big West says, my garlic greens are tall and looking good. I wish I could send you some, as you requested fans do. I am just horrible at figuring out the technical aspect of shipping safely and whatnot. Yeah, well, we really need to do that though, So I was totally technology illiterate when I started when I started YouTubing. And I was just coming out of the mountains and world traveling. I didn't even sign on to any social media at all, period, for 4 years. And so I didn't have any. I was never on the internet and stuff like that. And then I came back and wanted to start a YouTube channel and stuff. So it was a huge tedious learning curve, researching and trying to speak this new language of technology and stuff. But here we are. So what I'm saying is it's worth it. So it would be worth it to me if you wanted to send me some of that good stuff. So I will be getting a P.O. box pretty soon for anyone that wants to send stuff. All right. Let's see here. Jacob says, hello, friend. Was just thinning cabbage and tomato seedlings. All right. Thinning, I'm never good at thinning, but you got to do it, guys. So I want to still talk on that topic of what you're going to be starting. So Freebird asked the question. Now, you want to do it like that, but you also want to start things for the fall. So what we're going to do is here in northern Indiana, zone 5/6, whatever it wants to be that year, then we are going to start by seed cabbages. Brunswick cabbage is good for fall cabbage for sauerkraut because it can take real cold. And yeah, the F word, fall, I know. And so we're going to start Brunswick cabbage, some flat Dutch cabbage possibly, because I love cabbage and potato. The fall time, late summer, fall, as the potatoes are getting harvested, the cabbages are ready, and the onions are all dried. Everything is just so bountiful in the fall time. It's wonderful. I love fried cabbage and all that kind of stuff. So we will start those by seed about July 1st is what we're going to do. And then we're going to plant those into the earth about August, the first week or 2 weeks of August is when we're going to plant all of that stuff. We're also going to plant our peas for the fall time about August 1st, give or take. And this will shift, the dates will only shift for you a week or two depending on your zone. If you're in zone 4, 5, 6, or 7, basically, you can utilize this time frame, within a couple weeks each way. But if you're in zone 9, 10 and stuff, then it's a whole different as far as timing. Everything else is the same. Soil, life, all of that's all the same, but the timing is different. Natalie Dumont says, I'm in 4B. Okay, so you want to, depending on when your first frost is, though, so you also got to look at that. That's what I mean, when the first frost is. And you got to see when it is. And so it's going to be in zone 4. I don't know exactly where that you are, but it's probably going to be a week or two before mine would be. And so for that reason, we're going to start our stuff a week or two before. So you'll want to start the middle of June by seed to give them 4 good weeks to grow up and start and then plant for the fall time. And so I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to make a video on how to start stuff up for your next run using shade cloth, guys. We're going to make a small hoop house out of shade cloth, and we're going to be able to start up all of our own stuff for the fall harvest outside, because you only start up stuff indoors if you absolutely need to. But right now is going to be really nice. It's going to be fine for starting stuff up. Things love to be outside. There's the perfect combination of light and CO2 and air exchange. It's all perfect outside, of course. So let's see. Kim Williams says, my garlic is out. Now transplanted peppers due to hot weather coming. Okay, yeah, that's a good one as well. So I gotta see real quick what the first frost is. I should know that by heart, but I've talked to so many different people in so many different zones. First frost, northern Indiana. Okay, let's see here. Okay, the first frost date, yeah, so the last frost date in northern Indiana is about May 15th. Yes, we know this. The first frost date in the majority of Indiana are between October 1st and October 15th. So yeah, it would be about more like October, first week of October for us. Yeah, it'd be about in October sometime, or early October. So that is when we would do that. And let me see here. So yeah, you're going to want to start your stuff and then you will plant it out. So the thing, however, the things that if you want to make kimchi, you got to do the daikon radish. Remember that. The big daikon, also known as tillage radish. It's the big white radish. You plant those by seed. Okay, so we're going to plant those by seed All of that around August, the first week or two of August when we're gonna plant all of that. So I've made videos last year about this topic, so you can watch those. I'll probably make more videos this year about it, but yeah, that's how you want to do it. But you always remember what I said. You always want to have those things in that are grown up in containers already that you can just plug in. You can just get ready to plug in whenever something is not thriving. So you never want to have just an empty open spot. So once your cabbage comes out, have something else to put in there. Have another cabbage to put in, depending on your climate. Have another some Asian, yod fa or something like that. Or so yeah, that's Wendy says hi from Wind Bay Island, Washington, Pacific Northwest. Oh, I bet that's got a great climate for growing certain things, huh? Jacob says, I was a little late to planting with moving into the new house. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of late this year, but hey, we do what we can. Let's see. Jacob says, corn is 3 to 4 inches. All right. MK's Logic, most of my lettuce has bolted. My green peas have already matured and literally harvested a week ago. Got some garbanzo beans awaiting harvest here. Wow, nice. Garbanzos. Yeah, I bet they do real well. Hey, have any of you guys grown purple hull peas before? Have you guys grown these kind of things like this before? Because this is my first time actually growing them. And I just wonder what your experience is on the purple hull peas. Because I got a pea and bean sheller that is so effective and so awesome that I can't wait to use it. Or, I mean, I used it last year, but I can't wait. I want to grow things so I can use it more. Jason Knight, what's up, my friend? He says, putting up the shade today. Yes, shade cloth can be very beneficial for starting seedlings and stuff. So I like to start everything from everything from here out is started outside. But you don't start it, you don't start it in those tiny little black seed starting trays with 72 different little holes in each one. Okay, when that's out in the sun, in the direct sun, if you don't have it in shade and all that stuff, then it will get like 200 degrees. It will just get blazing hot and cook the root zone of your little plants. And you'll have these dying, bleached out little wispy, crispy things that are not going to be thriving. And so you want to plant, when you're planting your fall stuff, this is important, guys, when you're planting the stuff now, you want to give it a much bigger pot than you did before, because you're going to you don't know exactly how long you're going to let it grow up. And it's going to grow much faster and more vigorous outside in the summer than it did indoors in your seed starting setup. Pretty much no matter how good your seed starting setup is, unless you got thousands of watts and you got unless it's a different scale, but for most people, seed starting setup cannot even compare in any way to the outdoors. So you you want to use like the 4x4. When I start up cabbages for the next fall run, I'm gonna use the 4x4 square black pots, the reusable ones. And that's because I can put them all side by side. I can put the whole thing, boom, like that, and put the shade cloth over it with the PVC, and so that they can stay cool, and so I can just rain down on them the nutrients and the compost tea and the water, so that's why I like the square pots, but about 4 inches, for most of the things. Now the Asian greens and stuff, they don't need quite that much. They can just have the red solo cups is fine, like the yod fa and stuff. So that would be okay for that. Yeah. So RJ, what's up, my friend? He says, it is very hot. Oh man, you ain't kidding. It's been real hot. And Oklahoma, Jason says, Oklahoma hitting 90 F. Tomatoes are stretching and burning up calcium. Yeah, yep, I know. It's pretty hot even here. And the tomatoes actually are loving it here for me, because I got them in a heavy mulch. And so their root zone is nice and cool and moist, even though it's blazing hot outside. So Jacob says, it's warm here in Pennsylvania. Bushcraft says, I put some burlap squares as shade cloth over my lettuce. That's not a bad idea at all. Yes, I do have a bunch of burlap sacks, big old burlap sacks too. That's not a bad idea at all. Yeah, not quite as easy to work with as the shade cloth, the roll of it, but still, yeah. MK says, I would always suggest twining your peas. Let them grow tall and reach. Let them grow tall and reach out. You'll get better yield. Oh, absolutely, man. Peas are a thing. No matter if they're bush peas that don't require staking and all that, you always want to trellis the peas, because I've done it so many different times in different ways, and I multiple times just tried to think that, oh yeah, they're bush peas, they don't need to be trellised, they'll just sprawl on the ground. No, they don't thrive like that. You don't get a good harvest like that. So you want them to grow up the trellis, because airflow is coming in. Especially fall peas are the best. In my opinion, fall peas are the best, because as many of you know if you watch this channel, that as the temperature gets cooler, especially as the frost comes, the plants will concentrate sugars in the parts of the plant that it doesn't want to get harmed, because sugar water freezes at a lower temperature than regular water. And so with a higher concentration of sugar, it protects the plant from frost damage. And so that's why collard greens and peas and cabbages, they're just sweeter and sweeter, not in the sense of sugar, but of like just goodness and all around, mouth feel, everything. So also sugars, of course. But the peas, yeah, oh man. The peas, when you plant spring peas, everybody wants to plant spring peas and stuff. Okay, yeah, most of them just rot in the ground and stuff. Yeah, a lot of people have success with spring peas. It's good. But here in northern Indiana, it's so untemperate that it can just fluctuate so wildly. And once it gets above 80, the peas start to get real starchy, and they lose their sweetness, and they start turning yellow, and they just don't like it. They're exhausted when it's above 80, let alone 85, 90. So they don't like that. But what they do like, so spring planted peas can be hit or miss, depending on the year. A few years ago, like I was talking about at the beginning, when we had all that rain and nice cloud cover and it was cool most of the summer, they love that. I had peas all the way up to like July that were nice, crisp, maybe even longer than that. But then like last year when it was blazing hot and bone dry, they grew, and then like it was the middle of June or some June 1st, and they were just like starchy already and yellow. They just didn't like it because it was so hot. So my favorite type of peas are the fall planted peas. But you got to be on the ball, and you got to use dwarf varieties. Here's the key to success with planting fall peas. You do not use the tall sugar snap peas. You don't use the tall telephone peas or the classic sugar snap, the ones that get 6 feet tall. That is not what you use for the fall planting, because it spends too much time building the infrastructure of the plant before it starts setting fruit, that it will not have time before the frost comes. So what you want to do is plant bush peas, a really, really good one. You want to see, this is the one I will plant in the fall time. I love these ones, the Sugar Bond. So 55 days. You see how quick that is? This says delightful dwarf variety matures early. That's what you want to hear on the back of your seed packet for your fall planted peas. You want it to mature early. You want it to be a dwarf variety within reason. They're only 1 to 2 feet tall, and it matures early. So you're going to plant them about August 1st, and then they're going to grow up. And so as the frost starts to come, they can take a frost, no problem. As the frost comes, they get sweeter, because that thing with the sugar that I told you before a minute ago. So that's how you get the high quality, sugary sweet fall peas, is you plant them the right variety at the right time. So, let's see, MK's logic. Do Armenian cucumbers need watering? I think so, yeah. All cucumbers are going to need some water. I think you're in Lebanon, is that right? It's some kind of arid, very, very arid place. Then, yeah, they're going to want either watering or heavy mulch all the way around their whole root zone. So heavy mulch is going to be your friend, for sure. Let's see here. Ms. T, what's up, my friend? Says, greetings to all, much respect. Hashtag natural food growers rock. That's right. That is right. I'm happy you made it. And let's see. What kind of soil for growing tomatoes in a pot? Well, that depends. Preferably, I mean, you can grow potatoes in a pot. How big is the pot? That's where most people mess up, okay? That's where most people mess up is they don't use a big enough pot. And so you will see a lot of people trying to grow tomatoes in 5-gallon buckets and stuff, or even smaller. Smaller than that is pretty much absurd. But you will see the plants, and if the people haven't never really experienced like mammoth, Jurassic, enormous tomatoes that are in thriving, nutrient-rich soil with their roots in the ground, if they've never experienced how Jurassic tomatoes can get, then they'll think that their tomatoes in the 5-gallon bucket are doing really well because there's like a dozen tomatoes. Or they're like, oh, I plant them on 5-gallon buckets, they do fine. Okay, yeah, they do fine. But fine is a movable bar. My fine is very, very different because I've experienced what a tomato plant is capable of doing. I mean, a mammoth plant, 10, 12 feet tall. Some of these, I'm serious. To where they grew up over the trellis, back down, and touched the ground all the way. And just bursting all over the place. So that's what you want to do. But for that, they need the earth. And they need nice, cool root zone with a heavy layer of deciduous leaf mulch. That's what they like the most. Okay, but if you're growing in containers, don't expect those kind of results, obviously. But I would make the container as big as possible. If you could do a 20-gallon, 30-gallon cloth fabric container, that would be good for one full-size Cherokee Purple or full-size Purple Bumblebee for the fermenting. Remember, guys, Purple Bumblebee tomatoes for the fermenting. And so that's what I would do. And I would use I would use pure compost, to be honest. I would put pure finished compost in there, and that's what I would do. Because they need a super nutrient-rich soil, and they need that good drainage and stuff. So compost, leaf mold, and if you don't have that kind of stuff in quantity, then you can get, if you're looking for a purchase soil, then Fox Farm Ocean Forest or Ocean Floor, yeah, or Happy Frog. Those are really good ones that are going to be not peat moss based, and they're just going to be of a higher quality. They're going to be expensive, but they're going to be very they're going to be like the best of the commercially available bags of soil. So the Happy Frog, Ocean Floor, I think that's in it, Ocean Forest, and then the Happy Frog, the Fox Farm. Fox Farm is the company, but they make like those brands they make those types I just said. So that's going to pretty much be the best. See, if you're getting something like a Pro Mix, any of those Pro Mix things, or any of the Miracle Grow type stuff, well, one, the Miracle Grow, that's chemical stuff. That's not what we're doing here. But Pro Mix even, that is actually not soil. It's a soilless growing medium, because soil is a combination of sand, silt, and clay with microbes. But that, like Pro Mix and all of those things, Sunshine Mix, is just peat moss and perlite. It's actually a soilless growing medium, and there's no nutrients in it. So really, they're designed for using like chemical stuff, to feed the plants in that way. You can definitely do it organically, though, of course, but you want to add compost, manures, or bone meal, blood meal, all that kind of stuff, and then the biology. You want to get the biology happening in there. So that, I thought I just heard thunder. There's no way. That would be awesome. So yeah, that's what I would say about that. And let's see, Melody Lion says, out of compost, I have partially composted chicken manure. What ratio is safe? Okay, out of compost for what? What are you doing? Are you planting the tomatoes in buckets, or what is the thing? So Moldy Soldier says 8 inches. That's a lot. No, 8 inches what? Tammy Harder says, Nate, if you get a big tomato plant like that this year, can you please share a picture of it? Oh, absolutely. Sure. I certainly will. The thing with that is that I got it a couple of years ago when, well, you get those real tall, big plants when you utilize the method of the string, or any method where you're keeping it pruned to the one main stalk. And I'm not doing any of those this year. I'm only doing the cages. So, I mean, the big cages that I make myself, out of concrete mesh. So I'm just doing those because I did the the strings last year and stuff, and I got so much stuff going on that it's a lot of time, you know, because you have to stay up on the suckers. So that is a real, that's the foundation of the entire thing of growing those kind of plants. You have to keep the suckers away, because once you let the suckers produce, then it doesn't focus its energy on growing tall. So if you want to grow the tallest, longest vine, because a tomato really is a vine, the tallest, longest vine, you have to keep the suckers pruned, and it will focus its energy on that one main growing vine and just keep growing and growing and growing and setting fruit. But that's a lot of work, you know, so that's why I'm doing the cages this year. I'm also doing a plot where I'm showing you guys a way that has worked really well for me in the past, to where you just let the tomatoes sprawl on the ground. And they typically produce boatloads, and they're healthier because that's how they're designed to grow. They vine out on the ground. Let's see. Natalie says, I was saying that Ruth Stout recommends an 8-inch thick mulch. Yeah, absolutely. Ruth Stout, guys, is a wonderful method. I was using it for several years before I did anything about a channel, so I wasn't videoing it. I don't have any footage of that, but the Ruth Stout method is wonderful if you have enough organic material. And that's the thing. That's the crux of the whole thing, is that you have to have lots of the organic matter. And Taida says, do you have a video on the tomato cages you are using this year? I was going to. I might still do one if I can find some wire. But man, they want $250 for a roll of that wire right now. And it used to be like less than 100. So I'm not, you know. But we'll see. We'll see if I can source the right stuff. I need to look at another couple places, you know, and to see where we can. Yeah, I know that's insane. It's totally insane. But I mean, you can use different kinds of wire. So I'll probably get one of those $50 roll of the other kind of wire and make some cages. But I can show it to you guys. Yeah, no problem. They're the best tomato cages ever. They last for years and years and years. And out of one roll, you get like dozen or more than that, more than a dozen. So even if they're like $20 each in cost, that is nothing, because you spread that over 20 years. I mean, they will last forever, basically. And they're the best tomato cages that there is. So I was just talking about something. Sorry, I need to not do that. Let's see, what was I just talking about? The Ruth Stout. Yeah, the Ruth Stout works really good, but it needs to be a thick layer. 8 inches is not unreasonable, no. Not around the plant, but I mean, not like right up against the plant stem. But the thing with the Root Stout is the ideal way, if you have time and you have organic material, here's how you start a Ruth Stout, is you have your plot and you let the grass grow up tall. You let it grow up 2 feet tall. And then you take all of your organic material and you fold the grass down and you smother it all out with 2 feet of organic material, okay? And put it in the shape of the Ruth Stout garden that you want. 2 feet or even 3 feet of the organic material. Straw, hay, grass clippings is best. Also leaves can also work for this. But then you let that decompose all year. So next year then you will have a nice rich soil underneath, and then the leaves or the grass or whatever will have been compacted down to about 6-8 inches like that. And because you let it go for a whole season. I'm talking the best, most ideal way. You let it go that whole season, and then the next season you just plant right into that. It is so great. Then from there out, every season you just add more mulch. You don't have to add an additional 8 inches every time. You would just add, if a weed comes up, you just fold the weed over, put a huge handful of the grass on top like that. And yeah, that is where the strength of the Ruth Stout really shines, is that you can just keep adding more of the mulch, and as you add more of the mulch, it fertilizes. So after a year or after 2 or 3 years of that, the soil becomes just unbelievably rich. I mean, so you can grow anything in that. And so if that's like your long-term plan, okay, I want to start Ruth Stout method from now on, where I never till, I never have to weed really, I don't have to fertilize much or at all after a couple of years, because you're composting in place. So if you want that as your long-term plan and you have the ability to have a lot of organic matter, if you have a big yard and you have a bagging lawnmower, that would work. or if you have a hay field or something like that, that would work. Then that's the method to go. It really is. And just because it fertilizes and it keeps the weeds down, it's wonderful. So yes, that's a good method. Let's see here. Let's see. Brandy says, tried Three Sisters with the Indian corn, the funny looking peas, and the squash you recommended. Looks good so far. Whoa. Okay. So you, what funny looking peas? I don't remember that, but because it's beans that you want to do that with. But you could do peas as well. Well, no, beans really. It needs to be beans for the Three Sisters. So because that's what's gonna kind of hold everything together is the pole beans. But anyways, the squash. Are you talking about the Tahitian melon squash? That you're gonna love that. You're gonna love that, no doubt. Let's see here. Natalie says, I put composted horse manure mixed with a bit of soil on top of folded long grass. Yes, that's the way to do it. That is the way to do it. Ben Hudson says, fiat currency is going down, not prices going up. That is true, of course. That is what that is what's happening. Is that the value of the currency used to acquire something is going down, and so it appears that like, the prices are going high. Yes, this is true. Okay, let's see here. V. Lowe says, are you getting rain in Indiana? We are parched in mid-Michigan. Our well pump went out for 2 weeks. Hoping I have time to start over completely. I'm on a new property too, so I didn't have high hopes. Oh man. Yeah, we have not got any rain at all. We're in the same boat as you guys. So don't worry. I mean, you're not alone. We are not hardly getting any rain at all. It's terrible. But I knew this was coming, so I have a major layer of mulch on the garden. And that is going to keep things nice and cool. Now, the one drawback to a nice thick layer of mulch is that it takes forever for the soil to heat up to an appropriate temperature in the early spring. So my stuff is behind what a lot of other people might be doing, but in the long run, it's going to work out really well for me, or I mean, for the plants and for everything. So yeah, that's the one drawback, is that it keeps the soil quite cool. But that's also here in another few weeks. Actually, right now, that's a plus. So yeah, it's give and takes for all that. Just Me says, Robin's making tomato basil sandwiches. You already got tomatoes? Are you for real? That would be incredible. Man, your garden looks awesome. So yeah, more pictures, definitely. You can show me the watermelon plot. I'm really interested because we pretty much did the same thing out at my uncle at one of these other garden plots. And so yeah, it's going to look really good. It's going to work great. Let's see here. Wes says, it sounds amazing. You almost make me hungry talking about in a few years, it will make rich, beautiful soil. Oh, I know. Isn't it like mouth-watering when you talk about good quality soil like that? And it does, man. If you have a bagging lawnmower and a big yard or something like that you don't put chemicals on, and you just keep piling that stuff into your Ruth Stout, you know, in your Ruth Stout to be garden, man, that stuff will just, it's so rich and black and crumbly, and you can plant seeds into it. You can plant anything you want into it. It's a phenomenal way to do it. But most people don't have access to enough organic matter, and they skimp on the organic matter. And that's where they fail, and that's why. So let's see here. El Shadowin says, question, do you have book references other than J-Dom that you prefer? You know, most of my knowledge really has been gained over the years of trial and error and talking with people in Northern California, doing so many different things. And some basic understandings of biology, of course, of soil biology and stuff. I used to be into the microscope stuff because I first learned with like aerated compost teas and stuff, and we were looking to see the biology, make sure it was happening. You know, I used to be able to identify sort of more what was in the microscope, but I haven't messed with all that in so long. But the good books that you can use, yeah, I would have to go and get them. Yeah, I would have to go and get some. The thing is that a lot of them can be, well, a lot of them are contrary to my personal firsthand experience, is what I have found. You know, like especially the talk about anaerobic versus aerobic stuff. You know, that is totally contrary to a lot of what I have found. in my personal experience over the years. And so it's like hard to recommend a book, you know, like a lot of things about Elaine Ingham, for example. She has a lot of wonderful things to say, but a lot of what she says about the anaerobic is just, she drives home over and over and over the point. Anaerobic, bad, horrible, diseases, you'll have everything is horrible, bad, anaerobic. Aerobic is wonderful, light and good. I just know that that's not true. I know this from years of experience. And so, yes, she's a scientist and all of this. Yes, she literally wrote books on this topic, but that's inaccurate. And I know this. So I can't be like, yeah. And she really, it's too black and white, you know? The nature is not so black and white like that. And you have to, based upon observance of the natural cycle of things, I disagree with a lot of what she is saying. And so I can't be like, oh yeah, check out Elaine Ingham's Soil Food Web's, you know, school. So really, I need to write my own book. I know over the years it will be coming, definitely. But just based upon what I know to be, I mean, I'm somewhat scientist, but mostly child of the earth, mostly observing and feeling the spirit of the earth and a trial and error and the hands in the dirt. You know, that is really where it's from. Because when I was in Northern California, guys, thousands of plants, and its failure was not an option. And it was just all this, yeah, so I learned a lot in that time. So, Becky Knight, I'm trying Tahitian melon squash for the third time. Keeps getting attacked. Can't make the wetting solution. Don't know what to do. Attacked by what? The Tahitian melon squash, you got to put some kind of cage around it. Or are you talking about attacked by slugs or something? So, yeah. So the attacked by what, Becky? Lisa says, Garden Like a Viking. Hi, Nate. I've been... Oops. She says, hi, Nate. I've been consuming the water-soluble calcium myself. Nice. Best form of calcium I've tried. Helped clear brain fog. Helped with vitality. Imagine how my garden will love it. Listen to that, guys. Lisa, this is a first-hand experience, so it's not just me telling you this over and over, but Lisa's experience is that she is consuming the eggshell calcium. Now, the way that you want to do this is to make it with like a Bragg's, or preferably homemade apple cider vinegar, which I will show you guys how to make this fall when the apples come in. But you want to use a living apple cider vinegar with the mother that is alive, that has not been cooked or strained or anything like that. And then you will make the eggshell calcium, okay? But careful not to char it too much because it can taste kind of burnt. But you'll make the eggshell calcium and then make it in the normal way from the video. And then what I would do is 1 ounce of the apple cider vinegar solution with the eggshell in it. After you strain it, about 1 ounce of that and into a pint of water, give or take, and then you can mix it with some honey, a little bit of sea salt, and it's just delicious. Yes, so very nourishing, very hydrating, also full of the good quality calcium. So yes, do it. No way says, my rain barrels were never bone dry, but we just got about 0.5 inches, and I recommend you put a water measure device on your garden. Cheap money. Yes, yes, yes. Definitely do have a water measure device. That would be nice to get some rain. But in my water barrels, I have a valve that if it is the first rain in a long time, like when we finally do get rain again, I will, the access to the water barrels is shut off right now, so that when we do get rain, I got to let it rain for a good hour, heavy hour first to clear all the stuff off the roof. You know, so I like to do that, and then I will turn it open so that it starts filling the barrels, because it can be gnarly, especially if you live in a city somewhere. It can be gnarly getting the first rain after a long time. Okay. Stone Creek says, do you put cardboard on the flattened grass? You definitely can. Yeah, you definitely can. That's very beneficial. Although if you have enough organic material, it won't even need it. So if you've got like a few round bales of hay, you know, if you get a couple of those delivered, then you'll have plenty of organic material and you can just flatten the grass. You know, but if you have enough cardboard, yeah, it's very good. Although if you have a nice huge layer of organic matter, it's not necessary. It's redundant. So. So, Busy Girl, what's up, my friend? Says, my neighbors have perfect yards. Don't grow food, no grass from them. Oh, man. I do get leaves sometimes. Also write out names as written. It will highlight in orange. Okay. Mick Haggerty, what's up, my friend? He says, I was wondering about that with all the unseasonable rain and cloudy skies we've had here in Colorado. What? You've had rain and clouds? It feels like all my plants for about a month behind, but they don't seem unhealthy. You've had unseasonably rain and cloudy skies? That would be amazing. Brandy says, write a book. Yes, definitely I will be doing that. In fact, well, yeah, it's not a gardening book, but it's a book about my life and in general, 10 years of traveling and all that. Yes, that I'm currently in the middle of writing, but I had to take a long break because I feel so inspired to make this channel instead. Okay, let's see here. I think that there was a couple of, let's see here. Kim Williams says, Nate, write a book. Thank you, my friend. Yes, I will be doing this. Let's see. Big West says, Dr. Elaine is good. She is kind of scary about the anaerobes. I ain't got $500 for a microscope anytime. I test a small plot and grow something. Compost is good. Compost shows all other signs. Yeah, it's just not true. It's just straight up not true that all anaerobics, and that's not taking into consideration the facultative anaerobes. Nature is never so black and white. And so anyone that's just so black and white about anything is, except the use of chemicals. That has to be black and white. Okay, let's see here. Somebody is, yes, Kip Tap, $10. Thank you very much, my friend. Says, missed most of the live stream again. Oh, looking forward to fall prep advice. Yes, there was a bunch of fall prep advice previously on the live stream. So go back and watch it right as soon as we're done here, which is coming to an end because we're at 90 minutes now. So Mick, $20. Thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate you guys' contribution. This is Jesse K, $5. Is it okay to water my garden with water straight from my fish pond? Absolutely. So long as you are not adding things like anti-algicides and stuff like that. So long as you're not adding a bunch of garbage to the fish pond and it's just natural kind of water, yes, definitely. They will love that. Taida says, Utah Viking. Yes, thank you very much, my friend. $10. Appreciate the tip. Guys, check out her Instagram account because she's a very talented henna artist. Taida here. And also check out the Garden Like a Viking Instagram account because I'm posting all kinds of stuff about things I don't want to make full videos about, to the story in particular. So I posted some things about the consulting trip that I just went down to DePaul University and did. They have a massive garden there. It's like 2.5 acres or something. And it was let go totally out of control. And so it's under new leadership now. And they were like, Nate, please help us develop a plan of action. And so I went down there and I helped the university to develop a rock solid plan of action. And for sure, beyond any doubt, if they do implement these things, which I know they will have success because that's like my specialty. Going in there and say, okay, looking at what is here, what is the goal? We had to do some visioneering with the students and stuff. There were several interns and students there, so we did some visioneering with a couple of the directors and then the students. And I had to get to the bottom. What do you guys expect? What do you want to see from this? What is your vision for what this whole huge garden is going to be? For. And they're like, okay, we want to be a model of sustainability. We want to be, we also want to sell some of the produce to the cafeteria, which we're talking, this is a full-size university. They do 2,000 students a day, 2,000 meals a day and stuff. So it's never going to be able to provide everything, but just some of the stuff, and so they want to be able to provide an experience for students to come and be able to get their hands in the dirt and all of this kind of stuff. And so and they got a nice greenhouse. I mean, there was a major monetary donation several years ago to help them establish all of this. But it's so unfortunate that it was let go to just boom, let go to, the weeds got away from it. What I always tell you guys, number one problem in a big garden is gets out of hand. And so I went down there and after seeing the vision, I said, okay, I know exactly what we can do. We're going to make this a beautiful place that is going to be inviting to the students, and it's going to be a model of regenerative type agriculture. It's just going to be fantastic. So yes, it's everybody was happy and they got their plan, and it's going to be beautiful, and I'll be filming some of the stuff. I already took some film, but you know, as the progression goes on, it's a multi-year plan, but even this year, they're going to boom, get things under control and implement the new methods, which are the finest of the natural farming. So, and okay, so let's see here. Nate, yes, Jeremy says, Nate, looks good to see you closing in on 100K. Really? Is that almost close? I guess, yeah, it's almost 90, right? That'd be cool. 100K, that'd be awesome. Let's get 100K by solstice, guys. Wouldn't that be awesome if the day of solstice it reached, we got another 10? That's 20 days, that's about 19 days away. Yeah, so help us out. Share the video anywhere that you can. Leave a comment and give the thumbs up to the videos. Tell people about the channel. All that kind of stuff. If you're in part of Facebook groups and stuff, share the word, guys. Because by this time, you know what I'm about. You know what this whole channel is about. So if you're also about that, then let's be about it together. So how about a promo video for the live? That's not a bad idea, Bushcraft. Thank you. That's not a bad idea at all. So, okay, guys, we're coming to an end here. So, if you have any burning, well, it's already too late for the burning questions, really. So, we will be here every Saturday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Also, every Monday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we're doing a different kind of live on my other channel, Nate Murray. And that is about health, wellness, spirituality, cleansing, diet, nutrition, hydration, all kinds of good stuff. And yeah, hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much, everybody. It's a wonderful time spending with you guys. I feel like I'm sitting in a room with 250 of my closest friends. It's wonderful. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Let us wait. Okay, for real this time.